this lesson, we're going to continue our study of place value, and more specifically, we'll be comparing and ordering decimals. And this is standard 5.NBT.3, part 3. We'll be looking at this worksheet. And if you'd like to print out this worksheet, please go to worksheetsandwalkthroughs.com. For the first couple, we are going to be ordering the decimals from least to greatest using the less than symbol between them. And for the last two, we're going to be ordering the decimals from greatest to least using the greater than symbol between them. So let's move on. For the first problem, let's take a look at the directions again. When you're ordering decimals or ordering whole numbers or a mixture of the two, you can really look at the directions, and it's really important to notice whether your job is to order them from least to greatest or the smallest in value to the largest. And in this case, that's what's going on, and we're going to use this symbol, this less than symbol between them. So you look at these 5 decimals in number 1, and it's good to really read them off and rewrite them. So let's do that. So we've got 134 thousandths. And when you're comparing any numbers, whether they be whole numbers or decimals, you really want to line them up by place value. And fortunately, we have this decimal point in each of these as a reference point. So I can't repeat that enough. You really have to line them up by place value. And this comes in handy later on when you're adding and subtracting decimals. So it's really good practice. And the second decimal we have over here was 701 thousandths, followed by 13 hundredths. Notice how I'm just lining up those decimal points. Then we have 44 hundredths. And last of all, last but not least, we have 9/10. Now, when you're comparing, like I said, any numbers, whether they be whole numbers or decimals, you really want to line them up by place value. Can't stress that enough. So when you have them all lined up, you can compare them from left to right. As we've seen in several lessons, that the tenths place, or really could be any place, and if you look to the right, you're actually decreasing by a power of 10. Okay, so that means that the tenths place is 10 times greater than the hundredths place, and the hundredths place is 10 times greater, has 10 times greater of a value than the thousandths place. So you can order them and look at them left to right. Since this is least to greatest, we want to look at the lowest digit on the left here. In this case, it's the tenths place. So we have a 1 and a 1 for these two. You can see that those would be our lowest ones right off the bat, but we still have to compare those two since they have the same digit by moving to the next place to the right. And in this number, there's a 3. And also here. Now, there is really, there's nothing here. However, there are 4 extra hundredths here. So granted, this must be having a lower value than this decimal. So we can write them. It might be handy for you to, look and tack on zeros just to make it more easy to compare. 134 thousandths is definitely greater than 130 thousandths. So this would have the least or lowest value. I'm going to go ahead and you can put in placeholder zeros if it helps you. And again, when you get to adding and subtracting decimals, it'll help you then as well. However, we're going to move on, and we have the lowest value being 130 thousandths, so that would be, we'd order that first, and then this would be second. So we'll have to rewrite these over here using that less than symbol. So here, let's go. We've got 130 thousandths. is less than, put that decimal point in there, is less than 134 thousandths, and that will be less than, well, what do we have left? Okay, we've got a 7 in the tenths place, 4 and 9. Oh, clearly, this one would be the next in order when you're ordering them from least to greatest. So let's look at that. Originally it was 44 hundredths. And you could check these off up above if you wanted to. 130. Oh, look at that. That was originally 13 hundredths. So if you really, I mean, it does have the same value, but if you wanted to go back, I mean, it was really 13 hundredths. And next up would be, so let's kind of check that off. And then now we have 134 thousandths, followed by 44 hundredths. And that was third. Oop, that would be helpful for me to use the same color. Keep organized. All right, so we've taken care of those. Now we've got a 7 in the tenths place or a 9. Hopefully you're thinking to yourself, and I bet you are, that 7 is lower than 9. You'd be absolutely right. So this one, 701 thousandths, would be next. Okay. There we go. And that will be less than, that'll be less than this last one, which was originally 9 tenths. It looks like 900 thousandths with those zeros behind it. So we'll just cross these last two off. We've used them all. And now we have 9 tenths. So there you go. I mean, you could read it left to right, would be 130 thousandths or 13 hundredths is less than 134 thousandths is less than 44 hundredths, which is less than 701 thousandths, which is less than 9 tenths. From least to greatest. Great. Okay, now let's try the next one. If I'm moving too quickly for you, feel free to pause the video. You can rewind it. Or if you want to try this next one by yourself and then check it out based on what I put up here, check your answer. That'd be great too. It's good to have some independent practice. That'd be good. All right, so now we've got these decimals, and our first step is, and I hope you're thinking this, we're going to order these by place value. Okay, so now we've got, or organized them, I should say. It's probably a more accurate term. All right, so we've got the first one, which is 4 thousandths. Then we have 3 hundredths, followed by 1 tenth, followed by 431 thousandths, and last of all would be 9 thousandths. All right, we'll do the same procedure. We looked at comparing these numbers left to right since they're organized by place value. We lined up those places, decimal points and all. So now we'll start on the left. There's a 0, 0, 1, 4, 0. Oh, we've got a three-way tie so far. And the last one down here. Then we move, since there's a tie, we move to the right. There's a 0, a 3, a 0. Oh, a two-way tie so far. Now, this one was clearly greater because it had a 3 in the hundredths place, while these maintained zeros in the hundredths place. So now we're going to the last digit in the thousandths place. So there's a 4, there's a 9. You're probably thinking, oh, I know that. That must mean that 4 thousandths is less than 9 thousandths. Absolutely correct. Good for you. I'm going to rewrite this over here. Should be a 0. That's 4 thousandths is less less than 9 thousandths is less than, you're probably thinking, well, let's number these, keep them, we did that one, we used that one, and we still had one that started with 0, so it must be less than these two. So that would be next. That would be 3, over here, this decimal would be 3 hundredths, which is less than, and we've got, well, we've used this one, this one, this one. We're left with these two. Now we've got a 1 in the tenths place and a 4 in the tenths place. Yep, that's pretty clear. That 1/10 would be greater than, or I'm sorry, less than would be less than. So we all make mistakes. It's okay. We learn from our mistakes. But anyways, 1/10 would be less than 431 thousandths because there already are 4/10 in that decimal. All right, so we'll just rewrite that over here. 1/10 is less than, fifth place from least to greatest would be 431 thousandths. And there you have it. All right. That ink will disappear in a second. And there you have it. So we have 4 thousandths is less than 9 thousandths is less than 3 hundredths is less than 1/10, which is less than 431 thousandths. Okay, let's move on to the next job. And in this one, we had opposite directions. We're ordering from greatest to least. Greatest to least, and we're using the greater than symbol between them. And we do the same procedure. So we'll take a look at these, and we've got the decimal point. It's kind of our reference point to line them up with. We've got 76 hundredths, and we're comparing that with 33 hundredths, 303 thousandths, 771 thousandths, 98 hundredths. We're going to compare these. Again, if I move too quickly for you, feel free to pause it. Now we're going to compare these left to right. However, we're looking for the greatest one first. Okay, so now we're looking at 7, 3, 3, 7, 9, all in the tenths place. And you'd probably think that this one would be first, and you'd be right, because that has the greatest value. Because we have a 9, let's continue our method here. Okay, there's a 9 in the tenths, so that would be first. So we've got 98 hundredths is greater than, there's that symbol. All right, number 2. Okay, what's next? All right, we've got 7337. Okay, so there's a tie between 7 here and a 7 in the tenths here. So we have to move on over to the next place. So you can see that there's a 6 here and a 7 here. 7 is greater than 6. So you could stop right there. And that would mean in second place, when ordering from greatest to least, we would have 771 thousandths is greater than, looks like my greater than symbol is getting lost in all those 7s. So let's see if we can fix that. All right, just so it stands out for you, I'm going to put it in a different color. All right, so we have 771 thousandths is greater than, all right, what would be third over here? We've used these two already. Those are the greatest so far. 7 in the tenths compared to 3s in the tenths places for these decimals. So granted, I mean, you've got, this one would be larger, the next largest. So we've got In third place, this one, 76 hundredths, which is greater than, we've got 3 here, so it's kind of a two-way tie, and the 3 in the tenths place here. These are our only 2 that we have left. And now you move over to the next place to the right to compare them. And there's 3 in the hundredths place and a 0 there. So there we have it. We have our fourth. Forgot to color code my greater than symbol. Sorry about that. So the fourth one would be 33 hundredths, which is greater than our only remaining one. And we had 3 thousandths, and that would be the order of those decimals. We had 98 hundredths is greater than 771 thousandths, which is greater than 76 hundredths, which is greater than 33 hundredths, which is greater than 303 thousandths. And the last one, look at number 4. Bounce that up a little bit. And we have these decimals to compare. Here we go. Same procedure. Kind of do these a little faster. Now that you're getting the hang of this, why don't we divide our workspace so there's no confusion. But here we go. Okay. So we've got 2 thousandths. Line up these decimal points, and we have 1 thousandth, followed by 100 thousandths. And then let's put 40 hundredths next, aka 4 tenths, but anyhow. And then we have 32 hundredths. We're going to compare these. Again, we're going for the greatest one. That's what our directions said. We'll look at these digit by digit. Okay. Now let's see if we can do these without all the highlighting. Now, we've got 10 in the tenths place. All zero. We have 0, 0, 1, 4, 3. I'm looking for the greatest one so far. So we've got right here. We have a 4 in tenths place. That must be first on our list. So that would be number 1. So that would be 40 hundredths is greater than, let's see, what's next? So we've got that one. We're left with a 0 in the tenths, 0, 1, 3. This one would come next. So we've got, this one has a greater value than the remaining 3. So we have 32 hundredths. Which is greater than, what's next? Oh, look at this. We have 0 here, 0 here, and oh, look at that. And 1 is greater than 0, so that must come next since we're ordering from greatest to least. This would be third in our order. You might be thinking to yourself, that's the same as 1/10. Yep, you'd be exactly correct. So we'll keep moving on. We have 2 left. You might look at these and know it. But let's just talk about it first. We've got a two-way tie. We've got 0 in the tenths, 0s in the hundredths, a 2 here in the thousandths, and a 1 in the thousandths. So the next greatest one would be, right here would be 2 thousandths. If you're thinking that, good for you. And that would be greater than our last one, number 5, 1 thousandth. Stick with our same color pen. And there you have it. There's the order. All right. This has been a quick look at place value and comparing and ordering decimals. Thanks for checking out worksheetsandwalkthroughs.com, and we'll see you again next time.